Hello there, you're welcome to another interesting edition of my podcast where I bring you my own opinion on football related issues. But today I'll be talking about African football, in particularly the forthcoming Confederation of African Football Executive Committee election, and it has been making the rounds for quite a while now. There's been a lot of shenanigans, a lot of manipulation, a lot of maneuvering. Call it whatever you want to, but this is probably one of the most interesting CaF elections in recent times. Well, it's no longer news that ageless Issa Ayatu is contesting for the eighth term in office. It's been in office since 1988. To put it in some context, I was in secondary school at the time when he became the president of CaF. He took over from Tesema, who passed on at the time, and Ayatu took over, and he's been the CaF president ever since then. Not that he's not had people contesting against him, but it's just always find a way of returning back, and it's become quite a stronghold within the African football confraternity. But this time around is going to be facing an opposition, and the person of Ahmad, who was the president of the Malagasy Football Federation, and I'm talking about Madagascar. It's from Madagascar, and he was once the federation president for 14 years. He's been a member of the CaF executive committee for quite a while now, and is contesting against Issa Ayatu. Right, prior to now, just to sort of build up, there was an age limitation to anyone becoming the president of CaF, and the age limitation was, I think, 70. But in order for this restriction to be removed, there was an amendment to that rule, and the amendment was made in order to be able to accommodate Issa Ayatu. So basically, the age restriction was taken off, which means you can contest up to whatever age you want to. So that allowed them, Issa Ayatu, to be able to contest for the election again. And another amendment that was made as well was that the only people, or the only persons who were eligible to go for the presidency, or to contest for the presidency, must be a member of the CaF executive committee. So, which means that closed all all the doors to outsiders who wants to contest for the presidency. But fortunately not, Ahmad, happened to be in the executive committee, and that is what we're having at the moment. For quite a lot of football followers, particularly within Nigerian contest, a lot of them want Issa Ayatu out. People feel that he's been there for quite a long time, and they think football is no longer developing, and rightly so. I sort of agree to that. All you just need to do is to take a look at videos of Ayatu watching football games when he's dozing off. There's been pictures of Ayatu sleeping or dozing off during meetings. So that tells you of a man that is tired, and for that reason, a lot of people want him out. And for Nigerians particularly, they felt probably he's not really benefited Nigeria that much. But that's subject to debate. But I want to dispel a notion which I do not agree with. The fact that there's been no development under Issa Ayatu. That, I think, is not true. Prior to Ayatu becoming the CaF president, Africa only had 2 slots for the World Cup. That increased from from 2 to 3 and eventually to 5. Under Ayatu, the World Cup was hosted in Africa. So we can say there's been some major milestones under Ayatu's administration. So it would be unfair to say that nothing has happened, no development has not happened. Probably it could have been much more, but certainly there was some sort of development. Now, talking about this man by the name Ahmad Hamad, some few weeks back, the sub-region where he comes from came out to publicly endorse him. And by sub-region in Africa, there are 5 sub football regions. There is the COSAFA, which comprises of the Council of Southern African Football. There are 40 members there. There is CESAFA, which is the Council for East Africa and East and Central Africa, and they've got 12 members. And there is UNIFAC, which is Central African Football Federation, which includes Cameroon, which is where Ayatu comes from. They have 8 members. And there is WAFU, that's the West African Football Union, which comprises of 16 members. That includes Nigeria's Amaju Pinnick and Ghana's Kwasi Yantachi. And there is UNIFAC, that's the Union of North African Football. So COSAFA, comprising of 40 members, have publicly endorsed Ahmad Ahmad. And Philip Chiangwa, who is the COSAFA president, has rallied his members that they should all come out to support Ahmad Ahmad. And so in all this, where does FIFA stand? Well, there's been signs that the FIFA president Gianni Infantino is supported or is tilting towards the change mantra which Ahmad Ahmad represents. There have been signs of crack, and I'll take your mind back to the FIFA election. Generally, whenever the FIFA election is approaching, CaF as a body normally votes in blocks. And when I mean the vote in block, by that I mean the entire membership of CaF, which includes 54 countries, normally vote for whoever Ayatu endorses. In this case, Ayatu endorsed Infantino's opposition. That's the Qatar representative from Qatar. I think that's Ben Nahim. But unfortunately for Ayatu this time around, some of the African countries decided to take a stance that they will vote for who they want to vote for. So the sign of that crack have been evident from the FIFA elections, and the body language of Infantino could suggest that he's not particularly inclining towards he doesn't support Ayatu. So he's working. There are signs that he's working in the background for Ahmad. Coupled with that, Philip Chiangwa organized a birthday ceremony recently in which Gianni Infantino was invited in the company of other African FA chairmen. Obviously, we know where this is leading to. It's just a platform to sort of lobby members to vote for Ahmad Ahmad. And guess what? Ayatu was invited. But that aside, that being done, Nigerian president, that's Amaju Pinnick, who himself is contesting for the FIFA Executive Committee seat, has come out publicly on the World TV media space. That's on CNN to be precise. That is pitching his tent in the change direction, and I'm talking about Ahmad Ahmad. And recently, Ahmad Ahmad actually visited Nigeria, where he visited the Senate president and some football dignitaries within the country to sort of rally for support. So the election is upon us now, and in a few days' time we'll know who would be declared the football, the CAF, Confederation of African Football president. Um, it's going to be a very, very tough one, and I believe I want the best person to win. I personally, I want Aya to out, but I do not just want change for the sake of change. I do not know. I don't know Ahmad Ahmad's antecedents or his track record as a football administrator. I mean, it's come out to say, the nice words. When you're, politicians, when they're contesting for a particular position, they tell you the nice words. But whether I'm convinced, that's another kettle of fish entirely. But we'll wait to see what happens, and you can drop me your note, your comment, what you think about the all election coming up soon. Until I come your way again, where I bring you my opinion on all sporting issues. Have a lovely day and stay blessed.